Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Cedric here in Antwerp with another brand new brew review, and today is all about fun and numbers. For starters, today's review is number 314 Pi. So let's celebrate our Pi Day with a fun beer that reminds us of Pi. Now, what do I mean? Well, we have all kinds of pie, of course. We have pie the number, we have pizza pie, we have minced meat pie. But we are in Belgium and here we have a specialty in the form of fruit pies. For example, cherry pie. So let's have a nice cherry beer in honor of our pies and this day. And when I say today is all about fun and numbers, I am serious, because these guys succeeded in brewing a very average rouge beer with a 5.8% cherry juice, averaging out to average sweetness, average bitterness, average fruitiness and average juiciness. So a pretty average rouge beer. However, since it came out just before Valentine's Day of this year, they fittingly nicknamed it the Elixir of Love and managed to brew it to an ABV of 6.9%. Nice. And 69 is used for 2 Easter eggs rather than 1, because the glasses they provide, which I unfortunately don't have, hold 34.5% or centiliters instead of the regular 33 centiliters, adding up to 69 when having 2 of them, or obviously while having each one as a couple. You might have already guessed it, but today we are having the Tout Bien Rouge, the second Tout Bien beer by internet phenomenon and influencer average Rob and his friends Gilles, Emile and Wim. And just like the original Pilsner, the Tout Bien Rouge is also brewed by Brewery Martens. Now you might think that this was a genius marketing idea, but in fact the community asked for a Rouge version after they've launched the Pilsner themselves. The Rouge segment is a steady climber in the beer world and has been for a few years now, ever since Van Honzenbroek introduced their strong Castile Rouge, followed by Sherry Chouf, Duvel's answer. These days we see several smaller breweries hop on the wagon as well, and often with great success, like the Musketeers with their Walk the Red Carpet from the Bucket List series, or even smaller Brasserie Bourgogne in France with their Rouge Triple de Vito. But we even see traditional breweries experimenting with this style. Next to, for example, Old Creek traditions, we also have Rodenbach with their 200th anniversary beer, the Red Triple. You name it, we can find it, and breweries make it, and oftentimes with great success. Now, that all being said, let us check out this can for starters. First off, they recycled the original design, which I already loved. They made this a solid background in a Bordeaux Rouge, a color of love. They added golden lettering, Elixir of Love, L'Elixir d'Amour, and nice detail, they added the average Belgian Rouge instead of average Pils. It says Tout Bien with the Tout Bien heart, 6.9%, as I already said, and this is still 33 centiliters despite the glasses being 34.5. So unfortunately the gimmick only goes that far. Now we do see that this beer is aromatized with 5.8% fruit juice, concentrated fruit juice, but nonetheless, who cares? And sugar, and it contains malted barley. Now I do want to put some attention to this, because I always love these guys. Press text, socks and sandals, Philippe et Mathilde, beer and cherries, some matches are made in heaven. Tout Bien Rouge is a sweet beer that tingles all the right spots. Enjoy it with the people you love. Bisous, or kisses. And then here we have that nice taste diagram saying sweetness average, fruitiness average, bitterness average and juiciness average. Now one thing I really love is the detail on this lip right here. They made this this pull tab red, but also added the heart logo and Tout Bien to it. So they always have a lot of attention to detail. I really hope that they put just as much attention and detail into the brewing itself. Now it is brewed by Martens. I do know Martens has a pretty good brewery, so. Also, I already think it's very refreshing that they made a Rouge beer with 6.9%, which started off as a silly gimmick, but I do like it because we have the lower ABV Greek beers or fruit beers, like for example Lindemans, or a lot of those fruity beers that are around 3.5%, 4.5%. But then we immediately have the modern Rouge beers, or the modern fruit beers, that go as high as 8.5%, 9%. So I do like the idea that there is something in the middle. First off, nice color. It's not too red, which I like. It has a rather natural color, which is a good thing. And also the foam, it has that pink shine to it. So it's not white, it is not extra whitened. It is a nice pinkish white, off-white foam. Large bubbles, a lot of bubbles, so it is very active, a lot of bubbling going on. Tiny bubbles as well, I like. The head of foam is also quite powerful, it stays on for quite a while. Ooh, that is a lot of cherry. But this reminds me of, well, cherry juice, but also cherry sauce or cherry candies, which isn't necessarily bad, but it does smell quite sweet, so very fruity, very sweet. As expected, quite a bit of carbon dioxide, but we do see that this has a very active effervescence, so it holds a lot of carbon dioxide. No problem there. I do get a slight acidity in the nose as well. So maybe this is made like sherry chouf with Sauerkirschensaft, or nonetheless sour cherry juice. Let's have a taste. Cheers. Ooh, surprising. First thing I'll say is, and you can take this in a good or a bad way, whichever you like, it is a lot thinner than I expected. And by that I mean, it's not as sweet as it smells, so it's not sticky. However, the carbon dioxide, the sheer amount of carbonation, does deliver a quite tingly mouthfeel. So they did say tingles in all the right places. Yeah, tingles all the right spots. But it is a bit thinner than I expected. It is less sweet than I expected, which is not a bad thing. It doesn't taste like 7%. I would say this is like a 5%er, which is, well, maybe a bit dangerous, but again, not necessarily bad. But it does taste a bit perfumed, a bit aromatized. And if they didn't put this on the label, I would have guessed that they wouldn't have used juice. But overall, absolutely not bad. Also, a nice bitterness in there. The same acidity as in the nose is in the flavor. So I guess that is proof that they use juice. It is a very pleasant, light, tiny acidity, but it has more bitterness. So it is pretty hopped as well, I presume. Now, for the lighter beers, fruit beers, they often use a white beer or wheat beer as a base or a lambic as a base. And for the heavier stuff, they often use a darker base beer, which is sweeter in itself already. However, I can only assume things or guess, but I think that they used some blonde base beer for this, which is quite refreshing as well. Now, right off the bat, I'm not going to say that this is going to be one of my big favorites, but I do find this a very decent beer. For some reason, the aftertaste doesn't really do it for me. Well, this goes both ways as well. But in the aftertaste, I get a bit more cherry candy. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not what I'm looking for in a beer. So, but yeah, I'd say let's round this up. How should I score this? I would give this a decent 3. Why? Because it is a quality beer. Be it not necessarily my cup of tea, but it also has some flaws. Not necessarily major flaws, but there are some flaws. So let's call this an even 3. And I would say at €1.50, I believe, at the Leze, or maybe even Colruyt, the major supermarkets in Belgium. Pick one up and decide for yourselves. If you're not from around here, come over. I have foreigners over all the time, so if you come over, ring me up, send me an email. We'll put all the details down below, and we'll have a drink together. Now, as usual, I'd like to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I had a rough period. I'll talk to you about that later on. But yeah, you guys are still here. You guys are very numerous. In the past week alone, 5 of you guys were added. We are at 205 subscribers right now, which is way more than I could ever have imagined. So thank you guys so much for watching, for staying here, for keeping watching. And if you're not subscribed yet, yeah, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever I upload something, which should be every Saturday and Sunday, or at least once a weekend at 8. And if you want to contact me, look down below here. You'll find all the means of contacting. And I will see you guys again, yeah, next week. Cheers.